Good afternoon or good morning, depending on where you're joining us from, and welcome to Astrix Technology Group's Partner Webcast Series entitled The Digital Laboratory, What the Future Holds. Next slide, please. Before we get into today's session and introduce our speaker for today, I would like to share a little bit of information about who Astrix is so that you all have a little bit of a baseline of who the company is and what we're presenting. So if you haven't heard of Astrix before or haven't been in one of our webinars before, just so you know, we're an informatics professional services and staffing company dedicated to servicing the scientific community. A couple of quick stats. The company was established in 1995 and is privately held. It originated as an IT division of a company called APBI, which was a $300 million life sciences research organization. Today, the company operates from 8 offices and has just over 800 employees. Headquarters are in beautiful Red Bank, New Jersey, and there's 2 divisions, a staffing division and a professional services division, which is who you're talking to today. The company targets organizations such as Fortune 1000 life science enterprises, government, and research institutions with large and fast-growing IT staffing and compliance needs. Our mission has always been to deliver scalable, sustainable solutions in IT and staffing for the scientific community. Next slide, please. Before we introduce our speaker, briefly, a little bit about the services that Astrix offers. It's an end-to-end set of solutions that's meant to span the complete life cycle of your scientific data system. So this is going to be everything from business process analysis, basically making sure that whatever informatics projects you put in place, it's going to meet your needs, and then successfully designing the right solutions, the architecture of it. And then we help you actually select vendors, such as the one that's going to speak today, and make sure that the right vendor is selected for the right project, development, implementation, and then validation, as well as other services right through scientific and technical staffing if you need that. Basically, we evaluate, implement, and manage systems to enhance the collection and processing of scientific data. So that's a little bit about Astrix. I now want to turn it over to our presenter for today, and we're very excited to have him on with us. His name is Patrick Rose. Patrick is product management in digital science, and he brings 15 years in lab informatics industry. He's currently a digital product manager at ThermoFisher Scientific, and he spent his career working directly with customers to understand their challenges and ensuring their needs come first. He's currently working on holistic digital transformation of the lab and how the lab of the future can help scientists better understand the data and accelerate science. So it's great pleasure. Patrick, we'll go ahead and turn the ball over to you.
Great, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And so, good morning, good evening, good night. Good afternoon to everybody out there. So I want to get started and kind of walk you through how the digital transformation is changing the way we do science. And so when we work with customers on their digital transformation initiatives, we really think of it as an evolution versus a true digital revolution. The laboratory has always taken on new technologies, whether that is adopting new automation, instrumentation, or leveraging digital-enabled workflows. Today, just like in our lives at home, digital technology is changing everything from mundane tasks like ordering consumables to how we use our data and make decisions, and the pace of change is accelerating rapidly. This has never been more visible than during the current pandemic. The labs are trying to do more with less, navigate having to collaborate more than ever while not being able to physically be near each other. Having software tools in the lab that allow users to both collaborate internally as well as with other customers and CROs is driving the need to transform now. As you can see from the graph on the left, the pace of technology change has accelerated massively in recent years. We have been working with companies across industries to help them adopt digital technologies to support their laboratory processes and to bridge the gap between the production plant and the quality data generated by a lab for over 35 years. We've helped our customers to make the journey to where they are today, whether they are deploying in their infrastructure in the cloud or on premises. The advice we give our customers as they go through the digital transformation is really the same advice we always have given them. Evaluate the technology and determine which solution will move your business forward. Evaluate the business challenges you are facing and determine which technologies will help you overcome that challenge. Today, many companies are looking at artificial intelligence like machine learning to transform their operations both inside and outside of the laboratory. Before an organization can transform their business, they need to determine how that technology can be leveraged to help them make informed decisions fast. and they need to ensure the data is available and accessible to the people who need it. In a recent conference, I heard a presenter talk about how everyone expects a mushroom cloud effect when we adopt new technologies, but that's not realistic. I like to think of adoption of new technologies as akin to a torpedo. It's a way to quickly attack a problem and achieve a very specific goal. As we look across the pharmaceutical companies we work with, there are varying degrees of their digital maturity. That ranges from very limited digital capabilities up to fully integrated labs with minimal manual steps and only intervention by exception. However, that type of lab is more the exception than the norm. The middle ground is where we see a lot of companies we work with. They have made various starts and stops. They've had POCs kicked off to transform that just haven't been rolled out, and others that have multiple softwares and instruments that just aren't connecting together. And I'm here to tell you, while this may seem a little bit depressing, this cloud has a silver lining. And that is that much of the foundational work necessary for digital transformation is being done. Many of these organizations are now working from a much more solid foundation and are poised to take the next step. They have the parts they need, and now they need to find a way to connect and integrate them together to really evolve their lab into that digital reality. Customers are looking at transformation in 5 lenses. Whether R&D to manufacturing, they are looking at how do we improve the human experience? How do we simplify the workflow and orchestration to connect that workflow to the overall business? And how do we get to a point where we really get to end-to-end data management? So then, when we look at our data, we have the ability to use data analytics and AI because the data is connected in the first place. We see these 5 things being the ones that can make the biggest impact as the companies are looking at transforming their lab, no matter the industry or domain. Taking a look at these areas and starting to transform them one by one is how you move from the bottom to the top of that maturity slide we just shared, and take yourself to that fully integrated and automated reality. Scientific domains and laboratories are also experiencing their own disruption in 3 main areas. As science is rapidly changing in many different modalities, and the amount of data that is being collected, the types of personalized therapies in medicine, and the new and unique ways to solve today's issues. You can think back to 30 years ago when we started sequencing the first human genome. It took us 13 years to complete. Today, that can be done in little as a day. All the while, as science is changing, so is the technology driving it. In the business models of customers, adapting and shifting with these technologies is a non-negotiable. Labs need to adopt these new technologies or fear falling behind as others do. While the science changes, the tools to gather the data changes, and where we collect the data changes, and the data becomes a company's most powerful asset. Companies need to find a way to make this more efficient, work collaboratively with others, and globalize their operations. The need for the informatic tools becomes that much more apparent. For many organizations, the execution of digital transformation can be daunting. The reality is that many organizations struggle with siloed data and disconnected teams. When we work with organizations, we recommend taking a step back and analyzing your existing infrastructure. Are your people, processes, and data disconnected? The first step to achieving digital transformation, and probably the most important, is to resolve this. By connecting people, equipment, consumables, system, and data, you make the data available when and where it's needed. The second is providing an end-to-end workflow. Digital technologies can help you optimize your process, streamline your work, and always know what you need to do and who's doing it. This leads us to that third and final step, advanced analytics. Once you've connected your data and optimized your workflow, your data is accessible for advanced data analytics and AI solutions. This allows you to look at data in new and exciting ways and apply it to critical business challenges. It isn't about collecting more data. It's about taking advantage of the data that you are collecting today and putting it to really good use. One of the important distinctions is understanding the difference between digitation and digitalization. Digitation is having your data accessible in a digital format. Digitalization is taking your process and looking at it and mapping it as a digital twin in the software. So if we take this example, we are getting our information into a digital format utilizing optical character recognition. So we've taken what is a PDF and not a very particularly searchable PDF and pulled them into using OCR to make a digital searchable copy within the software realm. What you're seeing is the user loading a PDF, picking the areas of the file they care about, and passing out the results, metadata, and images for that file, and inserting them into structured data that's both searchable and reportable by the end users. Digitization is where we model the behavior through a digital twin. And this is an example of where we mirror the real world in the software, where we are taking and preparing a DNA library prep in the same way we would in the laboratory. So we are seeing a digital rendering of the library process within the software itself. Here, you see a user having the ability to move the individual wells just as they would if they were in the lab, with a pipette in a graphical and intuitive way that mimics exactly what they are doing on the bench itself. Here you can imagine a world where your software and devices are connected. As you manually pipette from one plate to another, the tools automatically renders what you've just done virtually in the system. The lab is a critical component of any organization. So what does the lab of the future look like? It is a completely digital lab environment. It's an environment where manual work has been eliminated, samples and all associated metadata are managed effectively, and workflows are connected across instruments and systems. This creates a truly digital lab environment where data is accessible. The customer benefits are clear: simplified scientific workflows, improved data integrity, data that conforms to fair data principles, and is accessible for all data scientists. Once we have both digitalized and digitized, we are really in the position to enable advanced data analytics. And here is an example of where we have data that is using advanced tools. In this case, we're using R Shiny, but you can utilize the tools your organization has leveraged in the past to perform these functions. This allows you to really dive into the data and make informed decisions on that data and downstream activities. The more systems that are connected and the more data that is available to be collated both streamlines the time to perform this and uses machine learning to understand it. So we talked earlier about the digital transformation journey, and it's a journey. We talked about how we have the different organizations in different steps of the journey. The way we think about it is, at first, it's having a digital science workbench where all the data is aggregated and available to you, using modern tools like LES, ELN, and LIMS to collect and collate this data. Once you have the ability to aggregate the data, the next is really having the connected lab and integrating those processes to automate, streamline, and modernize your laboratory. With data standards and tools designed to automate and integrate your data, these tools and processes become complete. The final step is having a way to orchestrate all of your entire software and hardware ecosystem by connecting to the tools like e-commerce, data analytics, asset and inventory management with things like AI, voice, and hands-free technologies. As ThermoFisher, we recognize we have ways to contribute to the digital transformation across our organization. So as we look at our instruments and equipment, we are working really hard with our customers to improve uptime, reduce resource utilization by making the instruments internet ready and centralizing that information. When we look at reagents and consumables, we want to ensure that users have what they need before they need it. It's easy to procure and keep the cost down. This is being accomplished by tracking the consumable they are using in the lab, knowing when they are getting low, and ensuring it is replenished as they need it and accessible when they want it. Next is the people, the workhorses behind the lab. Not only do we help with our tools to ensure there is collaboration amongst the scientists, but we can also help outsource some of that work, either within Thermo Fisher or by connecting them to CROs through our marketplace. The next two are areas where I, as part of the digital science business unit, really come into play. We generate tools that help orchestrate and streamline the work in the lab, having an understanding of the scientists, the instruments, and the consumables that are needed to complete the day or week's activities, helping guide them to what they need while taking in and providing a centralized hub to access both their structured and unstructured data. The last, and arguably one of the most important steps, is taking that data that we gathered by all the areas before this and driving the insights and informing decisions using open standards and analyzing and visualizing the data in the way the lab, the company, and the scientists need. We at Thermo Fisher also have an initiative to ensure all of our new instruments are cloud enabled and connected and able to connect to your ecosystem. The benefit of this is being able to see the status, issues, results from anywhere in the world, and in most cases, knowing an issue that may occur long before it does, so you can do things like preventive maintenance and get them fixed, allowing for much less downtime and utilizing your resources in the right place at the right time. These connected instruments also reduce the number of error-prone human result entry that is needed, giving them more time to do valuable activities versus typing in results, all while having an intuitive design in a secure and collaborative way. Our connected consumables offering gives customers on-site access to product inventory as they need it. Functionality includes automated restocking, customizable product mix, a selection of inventory models and storage units, order consolidation, and spend management tools. These solutions have a varying level of automation, security, and service. This technology includes on-site offerings like Supply Center. It allows the customers to purchase refrigerated products as needed and automatically charges their purchase orders. These can be linked to a project or specific resource allocation, and also includes many other on-site stocking solutions that are tailored to each account support by our commercial or services team. Along with all the digital capabilities we talked about today, and our informatics solutions like LIMS, ELN, and SCMS, we can help support your entire digital scientific ecosystem by helping to orchestrate your lab in a streamlined and seamless way. Building out the transformations in your lab is not about one part, but the whole thing. And having software that connects it all is at the nucleus. We want to ensure you can easily know what work you do need to do, have the instruments up and connected to gather the data, the consumables you need when you need them, and a pipeline to analyze the results, all while helping to ensure that people are collaborating to allow this to be done in the easiest and cleanest way. Digital technologies really are shaping the lab of the future. And the key to doing that true digital transformation is to have the infrastructure in place to support your business. And I've heard in the past Astrix talks, one thing Dale emphasizes is architecture, architecture, architecture. And we couldn't agree more. It's incredibly important that you are architecting and thinking consciously about what your informatics landscape looks like in order to support these flows. You know, as ThermoFisher, we are underpinned by quality. Everything we do lives on a base of product quality for both our products and the services that are built on them. Our customer is the focus and accelerates innovation, enhancing productivity to our customers. We want partnerships with our customers to accelerate routes to market, make sure they have the quality focus that they need in the productivity and innovation through products, digital science, and supply chain optimization. Thank you for taking the time. I think we're going to do some questions now, correct?
We do, and thank you for that very much. Let me do this real quick. Let's do a quick stop of the recording.